Ray Bellon.
Hey.
Hey.
Right.
Switching gears from poetry to prose, I'm guessing.
Yeah. What a night, isn't it? A really creative night.
We'll probably just keep it to that one chapter.
Okay. To contrast all this entertainment and creativity, I'm going to use you guys all as a guinea pig. So I've written a story, and it's kind of a different story. I like it, but that doesn't mean anything. And I'm kind of curious as to just if this concept even works. So here we go. I'm torn between what to tell you guys about this because I want your reactions. But this is the first time I've really ever read it to a crowd, so I kind of want to tell you a little bit. You know, there's part of me that says I shouldn't say anything and just get the reaction, but I want to do that for the next crowd. I want to make sure you understand the concept so you can just go appreciate the writings. Right? So basically, this is a story about the stone that the sword Excalibur is stuck into. So, kind of strange, but knowing that, you would know that if you read the back page of the book anyway. Right, here it goes. I call this a stone's throw from Camelot. I remember a time before I was myself. I was more than just a rock then. I was a voice within a multitude of voices, much like a note in a song or a word in a poem. In fact, the concept of being an individual did not occur to me until I was many millions years old. Yes, the time before I was myself were the best years of my life. Let me explain. Collectively, we were the voices that made up a very large granite mountain. It was our mountain. Individually, we had no borders or boundaries to separate one voice from another. The only border we voices knew was the very edge of our mountain. And if I may, I would like to mention that we were the very best mountain on the continent. The peak of our mountain towered over every other mountain peak. We were able to see the sun rise in the east before any other mountains, and we were the last to see it set in the west at the end of the day. Sunshine is very important to us, as rocks get very cold in the shade. Also, the longer we're in the shade, the colder we get. We voices have a saying, a day without sunshine is half as cold as two. So, for the voices that made up our mountain, life was magnificent from horizon to horizon. Even our shadow was magnificent. It was so large that it weighed more than some of the nearby foothills. That's mountain humor. The western face of our mountain was so tall that any wind trying to ascend there would have to rid itself of all the water it was carrying before it was able to cross our peak and continue its journey to the other side. And I promise you, there is none more consistent than wind and water. Those two elements attack rock while exacting their revenge for being forced to move around us. This battle between mountain, wind, and water is responsible for the creation of huge lakes and rivers that crisscross the whole of the continent below us before being filtered out into the oceans. Yet, wherever the water finally decides to rest, the sun eventually finds it and fuses it back into the wind, making this battle eternal. A battle that is overlooked by most, but far in the future when humans appear, the human folk living in the foothills will sometimes speak of this battle in rhyme while entertaining their children. The humans use words like, tiny drops of water float up the mountainside, down they fall as rain until nobody is dry. Then out comes the sun and dries up all the rain, and up, and the tiny drops of water float up the side again. Our mountains affected everything that could see us, and even some things that couldn't. There was none around us save the wind itself that knew a time when we didn't exist. We saw the first plant that grew up on the bank of the first river. We saw the first fish that jumped out of the river, and we saw the first bird that swooped down through the air to devour a fish. I even saw your ancestors swim out of the ocean and crawl onto land. Then, after witnessing all of that, our mountain proceeded to influence the evolution of the entire region. We were very, very important. And there I was, right in the middle, near the very top, surrounded by friendly voices and sunshine. Life was good. I know. You're wondering how the singular I could be near the top of the mountain when all I could comprehend at the time was the concept of we. Well, obviously, something happened to make me aware of myself. What was that something? Well, I'll tell you. I will tell you what woke me from that earlier dream and deposited me here in this new life, a life of both sunshine and lies, where I am both lonely and surrounded, where I am famous and infamous, where I am the center of many a conversation all throughout the land, all the way back to my mountain, most likely, which now lies many hundreds of miles away. I know. You're wondering, if I'm so famous, then why don't you know who I am? Well, maybe you do. If the title of this story jostles no memory, then let me offer you some clues. My story cannot be told without mentioning my dear friend, Merlin the magician. Not enough? Then what if I spoke of a wonderful city called Camelot, where even the weather obeys the king? And surely you're familiar with my nemesis, the mighty sword Excalibur. Well, if you know those names, then you know mine too. I am the stone. I am the holder of the great and terrible sword Excalibur. I say great, for it is a true weapon of the gods. It was born on earth to defeat all other weapons created on earth, and the human that holds Excalibur becomes the ruler of all the humankind. I say terrible because as this story begins, Excalibur is none too slowly killing me. Like a great wedge, it is embedded into my very being all the way to its hilt. And with this most powerful metal, it tries to split me at my heart. The pain it causes is unbearable. Moreover, on this journey from we to me to thee, there is but one reason why Excalibur will not be the one responsible for my own demise. And that is because this story contains a greater foe. A foe that will more fittingly deserve the blame. This foe that I speak of is also the reason that I will never let go of this sword.
Sure. Awesome, thanks, Ray. Next up.